On January 30th, 2026, the precious metals market experienced something unprecedented. The most violent single-day crash in gold since records began 45 years ago. In mere hours, gold prices plunged 21%, erasing over $1.2 trillion in global market value. Silver took an even harder hit, down a staggering 41%, collapsing from $121 per ounce straight to $70. Every financial outlet on the planet lit up with panic, death spiral, bubble burst, the end of the bull run. Traders watched in horror as stops triggered, margin calls flew, and retail investors got obliterated. But while the entire world stared at those flashing red screens, fixated on the carnage, a far more sinister development unfolded in absolute silence. The United States Department of Justice, without fanfare, without press release, uploaded 3 million pages of Jeffrey Epstein's sealed files to the public internet. Raw documents, unredacted in places, buried deep in that digital avalanche in a folder labeled Dataset Number 9, on a single page that no casual searcher would ever reach, sat one forwarded email, dated June 18, 2011, sent directly to Jeffrey Epstein. Subject line, the European Union Times. Inside, an article forwarding a single explosive claim that all the gold in Fort Knox might be gone. That email is not proof of anything. It is not the smoking gun. It is something far more powerful, the key that opens a door everyone in power has tried to keep locked for decades. Behind that door, an audit trail riddled with holes, promises broken in broad daylight, silence from the most influential voices on Earth, and a mountain of verified public record facts that are more disturbing than any wild conspiracy headline. By the time this video ends, you will see precisely how this one overlooked email, combined with everything already in motion, is driving gold inexorably toward $10,000 per ounce, and not because of some fringe theory, but because the system itself may need it to survive. But I have to warn you right now, once you connect these dots, you cannot disconnect them. The way you look at gold, at vaults, trust in government reserves, it changes forever. There is no going back. Welcome to the hidden economy. This is where we pull back the curtain on the financial realities mainstream outlets will never touch. If you are new here, hit subscribe. It costs nothing, and it keeps these long-form investigations coming. And if you watched my previous deep dive into China's 7P strategy to fully exit the dollar system, pay close attention. Everything I am about to lay out ties directly into that larger playbook. The pieces are snapping together faster than even I anticipated. Let us begin with the email itself. It is real. It lives right now on the official justice.gov server in the Epstein document archive, Dataset 9, downloadable by anyone with a browser. Timestamp, June 18, 2011, 2:51 p.m. Eastern. Sender's name redacted, completely blacked out. Recipient, Jeffrey Epstein using jvocation@gmail.com. The message forwards an article. Headline, Russia says IMF chief jailed for discovering all U.S. gold is gone. Stop. Before your mind jumps to conspiracy nonsense, let me be crystal clear. This channel does not traffic in unverified garbage. The source of that article. A writer using the pseudonym Sorka Fall, publishing on whatdoesitmean.com. Every major fact-checker has shredded that site. Far-right pseudoscience, low to no credibility. Business Insider called the piece complete nonsense. CNBC dismissed it outright as a single unverified report. The claims are extreme. Russia's FSB allegedly prepared a secret dossier claiming IMF Director Dominique Strauss-Kahn was framed on sex charges because he uncovered that Fort Knox was empty, that the CIA secretly handed him evidence, that China had been shipped thousands of tungsten-filled fake gold bars from Fort Knox as far back as 2009. Tungsten, for those who do not know, has almost identical density to gold. Coat a tungsten bar with a thin layer of real gold plating, and it passes every superficial test: weight, appearance, X-ray fluorescence. Unless someone drills into it or uses advanced scanning, it is the perfect counterfeit material. But here is the hard truth. None of those specific allegations have ever been independently confirmed. No Russian intelligence report has ever surfaced publicly. No CIA documents leaked to back it up. No government, American, Chinese, or otherwise, has admitted receiving or distributing fake bars. I am laying that out plainly. We deal in facts here, not fiction dressed as revelation. So why dedicate an entire video to this? Because strip away the discredited wrapper, and what remains are real, documented events. On the public record, no speculation required, that are actually more chilling than the article's fantasy explanation. The headline got the why wildly wrong, but it stumbled onto legitimate questions that the highest levels of power have spent decades avoiding. Questions like, When was the last time anyone truly verified what is inside Fort Knox? And why does every attempt to do so end in silence? Let us break it down methodically, fact from fiction, verified event from rumor. First, Dominique Strauss-Kahn. In 2011, he was managing director of the International Monetary Fund, the single most powerful overseer of the global financial system. He had visibility into every major nation's reserves, debts, gold holdings, everything. On May 14, 2011, he was physically removed from an Air France flight at JFK Airport, accused of sexually assaulting a hotel maid at the Sofitel in New York. The story dominated global headlines for weeks. His career imploded. His bid for the French presidency evaporated overnight. Then, quietly, the criminal charges were dropped entirely in August 2011. The accuser's credibility collapsed under scrutiny. He settled a civil suit the following year. In 2015, a French court acquitted him on separate related charges. The most influential financial figure on earth was publicly humiliated, removed from power, and then legally exonerated. Vladimir Putin went on record questioning whether the arrest was a deliberate setup. Polls showed 57% of French citizens suspected conspiracy within days. Investigative journalist Edward J. Epstein, no relation to Jeffrey, examined the case in depth and concluded the circumstances pointed strongly to a political operation. Add this detail few mention. Just 3 days after Strauss-Kahn's arrest, another prominent international banker, 74-year-old Egyptian Mahmoud Abdel Salam Omar, was charged with the identical crime, assaulting a hotel maid in another New York hotel. Same city, same week, same accusation type. That case also disintegrated. 2 senior figures tied to global finance taken down in near-identical fashion, both cleared. Coincidence? Perhaps. But when the head of the IMF and another high-level banker face career-ending accusations days apart, and both collapse legally, it raises eyebrows without needing any theory. Now shift to Fort Knox, the United States Bullion Depository in Kentucky. Constructed in 1937. The vault door alone weighs over 20 tons and is blast-proof. The combination is divided. No single individual can open it. Multiple people must input separate segments simultaneously. Official reported holdings, 147.3 million troy ounces of gold, or 4,580 metric tons, stacked in 13 sealed compartments. At current market prices, that stash exceeds $800 billion. It is supposed to be the single largest official gold reserve in human history. Supposedly. There are no public tours. The official website explicitly states visitors are prohibited. Even United States senators have been denied entry despite holding clearances for military installations nationwide. A sitting senator cannot get inside his own country's gold vault. Here is the statistic that should stop you cold. The last comprehensive, full independent audit of Fort Knox occurred in 1953, 73 years ago. Your government audits your taxes annually. They audit corporations, nonprofits, small businesses, individuals, everything. But the crown jewel of American reserves? Untouched by a full public audit for 3/4 of a century. In 1974, a limited group of congressmen and media representatives received a brief tour. They observed some gold bars stacked behind barriers. They performed no physical count. They conducted no tests for purity or composition. They looked, nodded, and left. That was over 50 years ago. In 2017, Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin became the first Treasury head to visit since 1948. He emerged, took out his phone, and tweeted, "Glad gold is safe!" with an exclamation mark. That tweet served as public verification for $800 billion in assets. When I first read that during research, I actually laughed out loud. Not because it is funny, but because it is absurd. The government insists annual audits occur. What do those consist of? Internal Office of Inspector General staff review paperwork, inspect vault door seals, confirm no tampering visible from the outside. They do not drill into bars to verify solid gold versus tungsten cores. They do not weigh every single bar. They do not employ third-party independent auditors. And crucially, they do not release detailed public results. The message is always the same: trust the process. Trust us. Now the escalation that turns interesting into unbelievable, all of it captured on public record, video, official statements from the most powerful individuals alive. February 2025, Elon Musk, the richest man on the planet, posts on X, who is confirming that gold was not stolen from Fort Knox. Maybe it is there, maybe it is not. He publicly advocates for a live-streamed inspection of the vault, cameras rolling for the world to see. February 20th, 2025, President Donald Trump aboard Air Force One tells reporters on cam, "We're going to go into Fort Knox, the fabled Fort Knox, to make sure the gold is there. Senator Rand Paul immediately follows up. He formally requests Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent to arrange an inspection visit and sets a 30-day deadline. Three titans, the world's wealthiest entrepreneur, the President of the United States, a sitting U.S. Senator, all commit publicly to cracking open Fort Knox and proving its contents. Then, nothing. Complete total silence. Musk's final public reference to Fort Knox comes in an April 6, 2025, Fox Business interview, where he reiterates the live stream idea. After that, crickets. Trump never mentions it again. Reports later claim he developed a new perspective, whatever that means, and the topic vanishes from his rhetoric entirely. Rand Paul's 30-day deadline expires. Then 60 days, 90 days, over 100 days pass. The Treasury Department never responds. Not a single word to a United States Senator demanding verification of national reserves. Retired Treasury Inspector General Eric Thorson, one of the few living people who has personally been inside the vault, told reporters, if Trump really believed the gold was gone, he would be down there in a second. He knows damn well it is there, so he would look stupid coming out and saying, yeah, I guess I was wrong, it is all there. The best way to handle it is to just drop it. That is one interpretation. The gold exists, everyone in the know understands it, and proving the obvious would only embarrass those who questioned it. But there is the darker possibility that keeps serious gold investors awake. What if they initiated the process, got preliminary indications, and decided opening that door fully would reveal something catastrophic? No concrete proof exists for that scenario, but the pattern of silence, from men who rarely stay quiet on anything, is deafening. In June 2025, Congressman Thomas Massie introduced the Gold Reserve Transparency Act. The bill mandates the first comprehensive independent audit since the 1950s, full physical inventory, bars drilled and assayed for composition, independent third-party oversight, and complete public disclosure of results. As of today, that legislation remains stalled in committee. No vote, no movement. Collecting dust, this is not confined to American conspiracy circles. Look at Germany in 2013. The Bundesbank requested repatriation of 300 tons of German gold stored at the New York Federal Reserve. Gold, supposedly already segregated and earmarked with Germany's name. The Fed's response, 7 years to return it, 7 years for metal that should have been ready to load onto planes. In the first year, almost nothing came back. When deliveries finally began, the bars were melted down and recast into new ones, not the original bars deposited decades earlier. The Bundesbank explained it as meeting modern standards. Critics asked the obvious. If the original bars were sitting there intact, why melt them at all? Why delay for 4 full years something that should have taken days or weeks between allies? No satisfactory explanation has ever emerged. Now hold every piece in your mind simultaneously. The Epstein email is documented. The 73-year audit void is documented. The public commitments from Musk, Trump, and Paul, followed by total silence, are documented. A senator ignored for over 100 days is documented. Germany's four-year repatriation ordeal is documented. A bipartisan transparency bill languishing in Congress is documented. And now the single number that makes $10,000. Gold, not just possible, but potentially necessary for the system to function. The United States Treasury still officially values its entire gold reserve at $42.22 per ounce, a price fixed in 1973, over 53 years ago. On the government's books, the Fort Knox hoard is carried at roughly $6.2 billion. The actual market value today, over $800 billion. Revalue that gold to current prices overnight, and the Treasury gains approximately $794 billion in balance sheet equity, without raising taxes by 1 cent. Without cutting a single spending program. With national debt now exceeding $38 trillion and climbing relentlessly, that kind of instant windfall becomes extremely attractive. At $10,000 per ounce, the U.S. gold stockpile would be valued at over $1.6 trillion. Pure arithmetic. No theory required. If policymakers need to strengthen the books without politically toxic moves, allowing or even engineering higher gold prices serves that goal perfectly. Layer on China's actions, which speak louder than any email. Over the past decade, China has offloaded $634 billion in U.S. Treasury bonds. Simultaneously, they have accumulated physical gold for 14 consecutive months without a single pause. They have rolled out their own cross-border payment system, CIPs, now operational in 124 countries with nearly 5,000 banks connected. On January 1, 2026, they imposed strict controls on silver exports, securing dominance over 60 to 70% of global refined supply. China's gold reserves currently represent only 8.5% of total foreign reserves. America's 66%. To approach even half that proportion, Beijing would require thousands more tons, at whatever price necessary. Their behavior is not ambiguous. They are preparing for a world where dollar-denominated paper assets lose primacy, and physical hard assets become the only reliable store of value. The Epstein article's claim of China receiving fake bars in 2009 remains unverified. But China's aggressive physical accumulation starting in 2023 fits the pattern of a nation that may have learned a painful lesson about trusting Western vaults and decided never to repeat it. Nations rarely lie outright. Their reserve movements and policy shifts reveal their true convictions. Finally, consider Wall Street's response to the January 30 crash itself, the worst gold drop in 45 years. In a normal correction, at least one major bank would downgrade forecasts, call the top, warn of further downside. Not a single one did. JP Morgan not only held firm, they raised their price target to $6,300 after watching gold lose 21% in a day. Not before the crash, after. Yardeni Research reiterated calls for $10,000 by 2030. These institutions command the best data feeds, the deepest research teams, the closest ties to central banks. They saw the bloodbath and concluded, this is a buying opportunity. What intelligence do they possess that the public does not? Put it all together. The Epstein email did not invent Fort Knox skepticism. It illuminated questions that have simmered for generations. Millions worldwide are now Googling Fort Knox audit, gold tungsten fake, last Fort Knox audit. Each new searcher represents potential new demand for physical metal. Not paper ETFs, not futures, but bars of ND coins you can hold. Government revaluation math creates powerful incentives for higher prices. China's relentless buying adds rocket fuel. Major banks position aggressively bullish post-crash. This is one unified narrative. The email served as the match. The fuel had been stacking for decades. Audit gaps, presidential promises abandoned, Senate requests ghosted, outdated $42 bookkeeping and a multi-$1,000 reality. Central banks hoarding at record pace. Institutions raising targets amid chaos. Ending this speculation would be trivial. One transparent audit. One live-streamed inspection. Independent auditors enter with cameras rolling. Full physical count. Select bars drilled on camera. Assays published immediately. Total cost? A rounding error in federal spending. It would dismantle every doubt in an afternoon. They refuse. That refusal, more than any single email, is the reason gold is headed to $10,000 and beyond. For the complete connection to China's dollar exit master plan, the treasury dumping, the non-stop gold purchases, CIP's rollout, silver export restrictions, watch the linked video right now. It is the other half of this puzzle. In the next upload, I will reveal a historical gold pattern that has appeared only twice before in modern history. Both times, it preceded the largest bull markets of those generations. The January 30 crash was not the funeral, it was the starting pistol. Subscribe immediately so you do not miss it. Drop a comment. Do you believe Fort Knox should face a full, independent, public audit? Yes or no? I read every single one personally. Share this video with at least one person who still trusts paper promises and government vaults without question. Most people will never dig deep enough to find these connections themselves. That is exactly why this channel exists. See you in the next one.